Imagine catching your own roommate at 2 a.m., going through your drawers, stealing your cash and your stash, and then watching him party like nothing happened. Well, I caught mine in glorious, undeniable footage, and my revenge didn't just kick him out of my house, it shut the doors of every major club in town right in his face. If you've ever wished you could serve instant justice to someone who crossed you, hit that like button, subscribe, and settle in, because this is the story of how one thief's nightlife came to a sudden, humiliating end. The good days. Back then, my life was a blur of neon lights, pounding bass, and late nights that bled into hazy mornings. I was living with a guy I'd call a friend. At least that's what I thought he was at the time. We drank together, we did drugs together, we hit the clubs like we were kings of the night. Everything felt easy, simple. He was just another piece of the chaotic puzzle that was my early 20s. But as I'd eventually learn, not every friend is there to have your back. Some are there to pick your pockets when you're not looking. The first red flag. It started with small things you could brush off if you were young and reckless enough. I'd wake up after a weekend bender and notice $20 missing from my wallet. Or I'd go looking for a baggie I swore I hadn't touched yet, only to find it mysteriously gone. At the time, I chalked it up to my own hazy memory. I wasn't exactly keeping meticulous track of my stuff in those days. But deep down, a seed of suspicion was already starting to grow. Then came that Tuesday night, a random, uneventful weekday, or so I thought. My girlfriend was staying over, and sometime after midnight, she woke up for a glass of water. But instead of finding me in the kitchen, she found my roommate. There he was, in my room, crouched over my drawers, rifling through them like a raccoon in a trash can. She froze. He looked up, caught in the act. And just like that, every missing 20, every empty baggie, every weird little disappearance made perfect, infuriating sense. The breaking point. When she told me, I didn't explode right away. No, I decided this needed more than just an angry confrontation. This needed proof. Undeniable, irrefutable proof that he couldn't worm his way out of. This was before everyone had a smartphone in their pocket, so we had to get creative. My girlfriend had an old camera, and together we planned a sting operation that would make Ocean's 11 proud. The setup is simple. We left my wallet with $60 inside on the coffee table. Not hidden, but not too obvious. Next to it, I placed a small baggie of meth. Both items were bait. Then we told him, very casually, that we were heading to the servo to grab some darts for my girlfriend. Before leaving, we tucked the camera away in a perfect vantage point, aimed right at the coffee table. Then we walked out the door, keeping our footsteps light so he'd think we were already halfway down the street. We stayed gone for about 30 minutes, long enough for temptation to sink its claws in. The footage that sealed his fate. When we came back, the evidence was waiting. Wallet, down $20. Baggie, gone. We rewound the camera, hit play, and there he was, in full grainy glory. He strolled into the room, checked to see if the coast was clear, slid a note out of my wallet, pocketed the baggie, and scurried off to his room like nothing happened. I remember feeling this strange mix of anger and relief. Anger because now I knew my so-called friend had been stealing from me for who knows how long. Relief because I finally had proof. I didn't waste time. I walked right into his room, camera in hand, and played the footage without saying a word. His face went pale, and yet, unbelievably, he still tried to deny it. When I pointed out that we could literally see his face, his hands, his stupid little smirk in the footage, the denial crumbled. He admitted to it, but only after trying to downplay it, said it had only happened a few times. A few times? Try months, mate. I told him he had 24 hours to pack his things and get out. No negotiation, no second chances. Now, here's where the real revenge kicks in. See, at the time, I wasn't just another guy in town. I was deep in the hospitality scene. I worked at the biggest pub in town and the most popular nightclub. I knew everyone who mattered in nightlife, and more importantly, I was good mates with the security teams. In our town, the main nightlife strip was made up of 2 small pubs, 1 major pub, and 2 clubs. Between me and my friends on the doors, we had control of 4 out of those 5 venues. A quick chat with the boys at my pub was all it took. Word was passed, lists were updated, and just like that, my dear former roommate was barred from every major venue in town, except for 1 small, quiet pub where the most exciting thing on a Friday night was the dartboard. His social life collapses. You have to understand, this guy lived for the rave scene. His weekend started on Friday at 10 p.m. and ended sometime Sunday morning. Clubs were his oxygen, and suddenly that oxygen was gone. Oh, and he had to move back in with his mom, a strict, no alcohol, open door policy home. From neon lights and pounding music to curfews and cups of tea. I can still picture it, him walking up to the club all dressed up, only for the bouncer to cross his arms and shake his head, over and over, venue after venue, until finally he gave up. He thought stealing from me was just taking a few bills, a little stash, but what I took from him, his entire nightlife, and I enjoyed every second of it. Sometimes revenge isn't about shouting or throwing punches. Sometimes it's about taking away the one thing they value most and letting them live in the emptiness that's left behind. Karma's funny that way. It doesn't always need to be loud to be satisfying. If this story gave you even the tiniest bit of satisfaction, hit that like button, subscribe, and tell me in the comments what's the pettiest yet most satisfying revenge you've ever pulled off. Because trust me, I've got plenty more where this came from.